Всем привет, друзья! Мы продолжаем проходить игру Vampyr. Я узнал в интернете, что это не Vampyr, а Vampyr. В общем,
The flower's dying. It needs water.
а где воду взять? Ну, я думаю, не проблема, типа воду налить. Куда-нибудь, где-нибудь. Ну, воды у меня с собой нету. Да подожди ты, женщина. Кстати, тут кое-что обнаружил. У меня, оказывается, есть второй костюмчик. Статья об эконах. Это редкая возможность, даже привилегия, сблизиться с вампирами и наблюдать за их физиологическими и психологическими особенностями с научной и рациональной точки зрения. Вот некоторые из неудивительных способностей, которые я наблюдал за последние 10 лет в ходе общения с вампирами или эконами, как они себя называют. Сверхъестественная скорость, гипноз, чутье на кровь. Она мне даст почитать нормально. В общем, вот костюмчик, сейчас покажу. Твою мать, она даже сквозь загрузку меня это пытается до меня достучаться. Вот неугомонная женщина. Лучше бы просто, стучала в дверь вместо того, чтобы говорить что-то. Вот, посмотрите на этот костюмчик. Мне не нравится шляпка, но ее снять нельзя. Поэтому я как бы не особо в этом костюмчике хочу бегать. Тут еще записочка. Записка доктора Свонси. Джонатан, я попросил сестру Крейн подготовить для вас кабинет на 2-м этаже. К сожалению, не могу вас проводить. Мне нужно немного поспать перед работой. Я всего лишь простой смертный. Заранее прошу прощения за скромную обстановку. Пембруская больница далеко, не Риц. Я распорядился, чтобы к вам никто никогда не входил, поэтому спокойно спите днем и работайте по ночам, если вам угодно. Здесь нет лаборатории, но вы сможете проводить эксперименты у себя. Кроме того, в кабинете есть окно, а за ним строительные леса, которые позволят вам незаметно уходить и возвращаться. Должно быть, сейчас вам все кажется непривычным и пугающим. Я долго изучал представителей вашего вида и понимаю, что вы сейчас чувствуете. Можете рассчитывать на мою помощь. Я рад, что познакомился с вами в это тяжелое время. Надеюсь, наше сотрудничество принесет блестящие результаты. Добро пожаловать в Пембрускую больницу, уважаемый коллега. Скоро мы еще побеседуем. Да замолчи ты! Искренне ваш Эдгар Гриффит Свонси. По скриптум. Прикладываю копию своих записок о том, что я узнал об Эконах за последние годы. Прочитайте их, только не используйте эти знания против меня. Да ладно, не буду. Переоденусь обратно. Я почему-то думал, что в этой игре будет костюм, который на заставке. Он вроде в черном плаще. А по итогу я не бегаю в черном плаще. У меня какой-то серенький плащ с кожаными там вставками. Вот этот костюм со шляпкой, он как раз-таки как DLC идет к игре. На самом деле удивлен, что хуже, чем стандартный костюм. Ну, для меня.
Dr. Swansea asked me to collect you, Dr. Reed. Hurry up!
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse. I cannot enter.
Но доктор Типпец, Стрикленд и Кроид. Для троих кабинет. А мне прям одному выделили. Но с доктором Суанси мне пока не нужно разговаривать, я правильно понимаю? Да. Ладно. Он как раз договорился с остальными. О, с тобой еще не разговаривал.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reid, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal.
Твою мать.
But dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reid, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
А, она вроде не вампир. Тысяча.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I see.
Ой,
Have you ever heard of...
Never.
It's...
то же самое спросил у нее.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Господи. Расследование. Ну, допустим.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
That was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Вот сумасшедшая. А с кем еще не разговаривал? А. Чувак с огревшим лицом. Не понял.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How long have you been a nurse?
Well, long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
I don't like your attitude, Nurse Hawkins. Pessimism can be as lethal as the epidemic in times like these.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter.
Да,
I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
вторая отмазка такая же, не прокатит.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Мне в реальной жизни хватает таких людей занудных,
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
пессимистичных. Тут еще такие же.
I wish I could be sick
Good
again.
evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reid. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak, but be assured I'm smiling inside.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Beauty is not everything, Mr. Elwood.
Says Mr. Pretty Face.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Я на самом деле не хотел так отвечать ему, но почему-то
Trying to
ответил.
avoid going back to the front. That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Да, неприятная ситуация.
Why do you feel responsible for...
I wasn't.
Why?
Come on.
Beauty.
Says Mr. Pretty.
А, нельзя изменить свой ответ. Ладно.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
How close are you to Miss Horcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
Тебе лишь бы приспать с больной, что ли, или что?
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of my blood. And the pain,
Вау.
it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Уже зеваю раз 10-й, господи. А, его легко загнетизировать. Но опыта ни о чем.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Disgust on every street corner.
Я надеюсь, ничего страшного, что я ошибся там с выбором в диалоге.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reid, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the dockers' trade union. The wet boot boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel
Так, стоп.
empty.
Он не
You're in good
вампиром?
hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood
Из него вампир
transfusion,
высосал
and I'm
кровь,
sure
правильно?
he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir.
Или это был не
I
вампир?
believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back
И он
to
ничем не
people I
заразен,
knew.
вот этот вот священник. Это странно.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Странно. 3000 крови.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really. But I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later. It's locked, all right.
Так, с кем ты еще не базарил? С врачом вроде как. Пойдем искать врача.
I'm sorry you ended up on my plane and called me.
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate.
Same mass grave as
It's
your wife.
locked.
I hope that might help.
I cannot enter.
Но с ним пока нельзя поговорить. Дороти Крейн. Я с ней разговаривал уже. А с тобой?
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr.
А,
Reed.
да-да.
Can I be of any help?
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory.
I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Понял.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Yes, Doctor?
Ой-ой-ой.
Exactly how bad is the supply situation here at Pembroke?
It really depends. Dr. Swansea deftly works his society contacts for monies, but with the quarantine, well, we're in God's hands.
Please, could you point me in the direction?
It's the large boarded up...
Да-да, она говорила.
Why then do you always work the nights? Don't you ever sleep?
At the Pembroke, we're always hands on deck.
Your dedication to the Pembroke does you credit, Nurse Crane, but when do you sleep?
We staff get our sleep when we can, Doctor. Nursing is a vocation, not the labor of a journeyman.
Lack of sleep and the medical profession always ends in disaster.
Интересно,
Many a colleague succumb to
как
stimulants
объясняется
to
то,
fight
что
exhaustion.
он ходит только вечером, ночью, а утром, днем он спит.
London's trenches start here at Pembroke Hospital. We are on the front line, make no mistake.
Я к тому, что люди вокруг него бы начали задаваться вопросами, где главный хирург, когда он так нужен. О, можно послушать.
You don't mind if I search your pockets, do you, sir?
Серьезно?
You don't need any of these anyway. I'm not stealing from you, mister. I'm only redistributing your belongings to people who need them more than you.
Охренеть.
You see,
Ну,
no one has claimed your body, sir. So it would be such a shame to bury you with your valuables. I will not forget you, sir. And I thank you for your generous donation.
я не могу сказать, что он плохо поступает на самом деле. Если реально за телом никто не пришел, его тупо собираются закопать. Длинное письмо. Твою мать. Бирмингем, 27 октября. Привет, сестренка. Как дела в большом городе? Здесь не очень хорошо. Похоже, тут снова свирепствует инфлюенса. И в квартале много больных. Помнишь мисс Шеллер, старуху-пьяницу с 3-го этажа? Она умерла 2 дня назад, а ее квартиру уже заняли. Спать в кровати, в которой женщина только что умерла от инфлюенции, я бы согласилась только за огромные деньги. Извини, что не сразу нашла время, чтобы тебе ответить. Я забочусь о малыше, Поле, маме, папе и работаю на заводе, так что времени написать любимой сестре не остается. Кстати, мой сын передает привет тете Пиппе. Видела бы ты этого сорванца, он уже сводит меня с ума. А мама просит, чтобы в следующий раз ты привезла один из этих чудесных тортов. В прошлом письме ты написала, что думаешь уйти из Пембрукской больницы. Честное слово, Пип, не спеши с этим. На заводе всегда нужны рабочие, но платят хреново. А работа скучная, как день без страха. Кстати, у меня новый жених, и нет, сучка-моралистка, я не шлюха. Так что если действительно хочешь заниматься не подсчетом трупов, а чем-то более полезным, то лучше оставайся в Лондоне и вступай в тот отряд, про который ты говорила. Стражи Привина, да? Я никогда про них не слышала, но если они такие, как ты говоришь, если это какое-то ополчение, которое хочет что-то изменить, то они тебе подойдут. Только ты не рвись в первые ряды. Мой бедный Билли так во Франции погиб. Слишком часто возглавлял патрули. Проклятая война. В общем, возвращайся скорее, а до того сообщи мне все хорошие новости. Любящая тебя сестра Люси, Пол, мама и папе. А малыше Поле, Пол зовут его, понял? Надо поговорить с Пипой теперь об этом письме. Там еще второй шкафчик.
It's locked, all right.
И он закрыт. А где у нас Пипа?
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
But you're doing something important here. For all the patients who need your help.
We save lives, sure. Each time we send a cured patient home, it's a relief beyond words. But since the epidemic, I feel so powerless.
Это которая разнылась тут.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Мортимер Гозвик с ними не говорил еще. Бранаган тоже не говорил.
Good evening, nurse. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid, the new surgeon here at the Pembroke.
Dr. Swansea has already told us about you, sir. I'm Nurse Gwyneth Brannigan. Welcome to the Pembroke Hospital.
Did he really? It's a good thing I wasn't hoping to keep a low profile.
All members of staff have already read about your new blood transfusion technique. Dr. Swansea made sure of that.
I see. Well, I'm a little surprised, but I suppose I'll just have to deal with this unexpected notoriety.
You must know, blood transfusions are Dr. Swansea's primary subject of research. He is convinced it is the future.
Блин, как же много тут разговоров.
How are things here?
Not good.
Вся серия будет тупо на
We're
разговорах.
struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
An invisible enemy? Quite a poetic term for a disease, especially from a nurse.
Sorry, Doctor. These last few weeks have been exhausting. We could all do with a good night's sleep.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
Мало того, что существует какая-то болезнь, еще есть вампиры и обычные люди-убийцы.
I'm
Но
not
это вообще
familiar with all the
весело.
staff yet. Perhaps you could help me.
Brilliant professionals, most of them. Dr. Swansea has a gift for recruiting talent.
Most of them. Is there a problem I should know about, nurse?
It would be inappropriate for me to speak ill of a colleague.
Is there anyone that stands out?
Well, I have never met someone as dedicated as Dr. Tippett's. He should be a standard for us all here. If only he were younger.
Why should his age be a problem?
I guess it's fair to say he's always pushing himself to the limits. He just doesn't know when to stop and get some rest.
Nurse Brannigan, if you do know something, please tell me. Anything you say will be held in confidence.
No. I may disagree with some conduct, but in the end, everybody is doing their best.
Why does Dr. Tippett's claim you're the main reason he keeps working, despite his fatigue?
If it wasn't for him, I probably would have left the Pembroke years ago.
Dr. Tippett does not think of you as just a nurse anymore, does he?
If you're suggesting he's not taking my gender into consideration when it comes to medical practice and knowledge, I really hope he doesn't.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Каркаран Типпетс с ними тоже еще не говорил. А нет, говорил.
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Да-да, говорил.
Dr. Reid, any good news to share?
Но открылись новые варианты.
You're exhausting yourself, Corcoran. Maybe you should think about preserving your strength.
No. We must keep on healing all those poor souls. We are the last rampart before chaos. Once more unto the breach.
Nurse Brannigan is worried about you, Doctor.
She should not have told you that.
Блять.
I will have a word with her.
You don't have to blame her for her honesty.
I'm not that kind of man, my dear Jonathan. Actually, Nurse Brannigan's opinion is the only one I may listen to.
Я неправильно выбрал вариант, да? Просто мне показалось, что я и проблемы какие-то создал вот этим ответом.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Черт. Ладно. Не, ну раз я уже большую часть серии разговариваю, то давайте поговорим со всеми уж. И только со следующей серии я начну проходить там какие-то задания. Что, послушать можно?
It's locked, all right.
Стоп, почему закрыто? Можно подслушать их, я понял. Так, а это что? А, я это уже читал. А это кто? Водитель, что ли? А как послушать-то их? Блин, мне кажется, послушать можно было из того места. Сейчас, секунду. А как туда попасть? Блять. Но бегает он очень странно. Маленькая бутылка. Мне прям за палатку надо каким-то образом.
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you, you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
О, Господи. Еще один сумасшедший. И куда он делся, водила этот? Подожди, пока ты далеко там не ушел.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reid. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reid. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reid. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
О.
How is the situation around here?
You want to hear the situation is all right? It's fucking awful. We lack everything, and it's getting worse every day.
So what do you do exactly in this hospital? Apart from smuggling guns, I mean.
I've been an ambulance driver since... too long, I guess. I bring sick people here night and day. It's a dirty job, but I get it done. Most of the time.
Since you're on the front line, how is the sanitary situation in this vicinity?
It's a complete disaster. It's even getting dangerous to enter some streets or buildings. Even the locals attack you.
It sounds like things have been a bit rough recently. What's happened?
Yesterday I got attacked by the patient I was bringing here. I escaped through the hospital's garden, but I lost my wallet when I was running.
You left an infected patient outside the hospital? That's incredibly dangerous.
Go there yourself if you want, but be careful, Doctor. I'd rather not bring your dead body back.
Are you really smuggling weapons through the hospital?
And why not? I've already been attacked by patients, you know. And by gang members willing to steal my money.
But you're not defending yourself. You're selling guns to civilians.
You keep people alive your own way, Doctor. I offer them another way to protect their health.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues, Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reid.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reid. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Не помню, чтобы я пользовался вообще покупкой чего-либо в этой игре. Ну, пока не буду спешить, как обычно. До которого я не стал есть.
Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reid. Still working at night, I see. I like that.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting, one way or another.
Do you ever think about that poor fellow I saw you push in the water?
The wound he gave me will make sure I don't forget him. Still fucking hurts. Boss had cut me good.
That man was determined to murder you. You almost died.
What a surprise. The first time I met him, he nearly shit himself. Fucking coward. I guess revenge gives you balls.
What did he want? Revenge?
I recently had to kill his brother. Poor arsehole thought it would be easy to return the favor.
Perhaps you're right. Maybe only the strongest will survive in these dark times.
If there must be only one, in the end, make no mistake, I'll be the winner.
Я уже понял.
How is your hospitalization going, Mr. Cox?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. But as long as I'm treated all right, I'll be fine.
What's wrong with the Pembroke staff?
That bastard you sent to bring me here, Milton. I thought he was going to break all my bones before I reached my bed.
I see. Any other smart comments?
The nurses aren't too ugly. Especially that foxy one, Nurse Crane. Pretty brunette, tough attitude, all like that.
Надо было его сажать, наверное.
What's wrong with the hospital?
Come on, Dr. Reid. The place is a dump. Smelly, sad, and dirty.
But you're alive thanks to the efforts and dedication of the staff here, aren't you?
What are you expecting, a medal? I thought that saving lives was just part of the job. Must be an unsatisfactory profession at this time, I'm sure.
How long do you think you can escape the law, Clay?
I know this city like the back of my hand, Doc. I know its streets, who to pay, who to avoid, and who to bully. I won't get caught.
We can't escape the consequences of our actions. The past catches up with us in the end.
I ain't afraid of death. I don't hide who I am. I live my life honestly, which is more than I can say for most folks.
And who are you, then?
I'm the leader of the Wet Boot Boys. One day I'll leave this shitty place and punch in the face all who thought I would not come back.
Блять, мокрые ботинки, господи.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
А ты кто? Что вас так много?
Please, sir. I need help bad.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Newton Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find him anywhere.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid from the Pembroke Hospital. Please, calm down and give me more details.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but... well, we had a disagreement. And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them at all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. What can you tell me about yourself?
Насколько я помню, этот мужик,
We served in the same regiment, sir.
он гомосексуалист.
We've taken care of each other since we came back from the front.
Но я, конечно, могу ошибаться. 200.
What can you tell me about your friend?
His name is Oswald Thatcher. We survived the war together. Oswald is nervous and quite fragile since we came back from the war.
Так.
This is a dangerous part of town. What are you doing here?
We were looking for the Pembroke Hospital. We both need help. Treatment, I mean. To get some sleep. Just need to feel better, sir.
Where was your friend the last time you saw him?
He went down by the canal. He didn't want to go to the hospital. I think he went to the sewers on purpose. So I couldn't go after him.
Ну, он мертв уже вроде.
I have all the information I need for now. If I find anything out about your friend, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thank you, Dr. Reid.
Скорее всего, я случайно на него наткнусь. $11 1125. Тьфу. Не, испугался уже. Блин, неудобно будет перед сестрой Бранаган, потому что...
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
А, нет. С ней, наверное, еще не поговорил тот врач.
Call me.
Так. Мортимер Госвик. Ой, еще одна. Блин, сколько же вас тут много, а?
It's locked.
А, к ней нельзя пока зайти. Я понял. $6000? Ее тоже можно будет выпить? Вау. Мне прям интересно, что будет на тяжелой сложности, когда я начну всех пить. А, он закончил со своим
It's locked, all right.
обворовыванием трупов.
It's locked. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reid.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you a doctor too? Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you mean, you used to be a doctor? Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
Wow.
Do you work here alone? Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is watch a few bodies. The situation was very different when the main morgue was still open.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing. Sadly, very rarely happens.
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic. Cadavers had to be moved to the nearest mass grave.
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay. Poof. No soul anymore. All gone.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic one, too. Most people fear, or at least have a respect, for dead flesh.
Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face my death and the death of others. It's the pain we have to tame, not death itself.
How did you get this job?
After I left the army, I worked as an undertaker down by the docks. A dangerous place with many an unpleasant business there. Milton Hooks helped me get a job here.
Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
A funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago.
Да ладно.
And she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Как неудобно вышло. С сестрой, конечно.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind of goods.
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers, for the hospital.
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade, I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No. I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me. I love life, and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, sir. Even goodwill.
Do you really believe goodwill cannot last?
У него очень странный взгляд на жизнь, я бы сказал. Да и вообще на все происходящее.
If I was to never die, goodness, I would be bored or worse. And I like to be helpful, sir.
Quite depressing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the good news is, we'll all die before losing our humanity, sir.
So you're ready to die?
No, I am not. I don't fear death, for I won't see it. What troubles me is the pain my death will inflict to those I know.
You're a wise man, Mr. Chadana.
No, Dr. Reed. I am a foolish man. But I like to think otherwise.
Wow.
How dare you steal from the dead, Rakesh? Is that what your pawnbrokers is really about?
These people are dead, sir. What they possessed could be useful.
Но здесь согласен.
And I'm sure they would agree if they could speak.
Тут нету варианта, которого я бы хотел нажать, если честно.
You should show respect for the dead. What about their loved ones who made
Так
treasure
близко
these
не придут
items
же.
you sell?
The bodies I watch over are the unwanted and undesired, sir. I would never deprive anyone of their family artifacts.
Ну да, все нормально, типа, ради бога. А у
Please
тебя
show
что
me what you
продается?
have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
Загадочный рецепт. Опиум. Кодеин.
Tomorrow, more bodies will arrive and then sadly depart.
Ну, пока я не буду ничего покупать, так как пока нет нужды ни в чем. Со всеми поговорил я. Но осталось только сюда заглянуть.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother had you hospitalized here because you tried to kill yourself.
Yes, it's true.
All right then. This is the first time we've really shared.
Она там разговаривает с кем-то.
Shall we call this progress?
С тенью.
Call it what you want, Dr. Reid.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities. My one and only concern is your health.
I guess I should thank you then.
Can I help you in any way, Mr. Goswick?
I wrote a letter for my mother. She was supposed to read it after my death. But I suppose she doesn't have to read it now.
I see. And is this letter still near the place where you tried to take your own life?
Yes. And I don't want anyone reading my last words.
Ребята, она стоит рядом. Не смущает никого?
If you bring me back that letter, then perhaps we'll talk.
Классно.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Ладно.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reid. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Понял.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
Я уже спрашивал вроде. Хорошо.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Ну, время подходит к концу на самом деле, так что на этом и прощаюсь. Сохраниться, наверное, поднимусь на кровать, но что там по времени? Ну, в принципе, успею. Я надеюсь, сохранение не двигает вперед прогресс игры, типа какой-либо сюжет. А то это было бы вообще не очень. Всем спасибо за просмотр, ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь, главное комментируйте, чтобы я мог с вами общаться. До скорых встреч в других играх и также в этой.